pay attention, number one. And whenever you clap, have some energy. Show some energy that you understand, okay? So the way we can do this is very simple. I'm going to say whatever. All you have to say is North Star. Match the energy I have, and I have a lot of energy. I know that. I want you to match that energy with me. Okay? All right. We love. We love. We love. Best software. Okay. All right. You have to look for shared with me. Okay, so I'm going to start because obviously he's going to come up in a second. Today you have seen obviously a lot of information which you probably experience on a daily basis, right? Some of the things are discussed with you in meetings, some of these things are discussed with you in person, whenever you're having lunch, whether you're meeting outside, inside, you guys are talking about all of that. The topic I have is for you, okay? If you just remember these 15 minutes out of these 2 days, this is going to change the way you think after attending these 15 minutes. So I need all of you to pay attention. Don't worry about taking notes, just listen to what I'm saying and try to cooperate with me in terms of giving me responses, okay? So the topic is V2MOM. The topic is V2MOM. Everybody who's sitting here is thinking, what's that? V2MOM? Is somebody complaining that I exist too, Mom? Now you have so many children. I also exist. Is this what I'm talking about? So I'll tell you the story. This is me sitting in Civisoft Caesar Towers in 2005. I joined the company in 2005. At this point in time, I was 25 years old. And this picture was taken because I was shared the news that I'm going to be the first person Civisoft North Star is sending to the United States. Obviously, I was very happy. This is a new chapter in my life. Being a 25-year-old, 19 years ago, this was a new chapter in my life. And I was asking myself, what's happening here? I just joined the company 6 months ago. Why are they sending me to the United States? So I asked this question to my supervisor back then, because trust me, this was a surprising news for me as well, because my supervisor was not the chosen one. It was me who was offered to go. So I asked the question and they said they would like to develop a world-class implementation team of trainers in America. And that's why you're going there for training. And I was constantly thinking, what value I'm going to provide to the company, right? And it was very clear to me that the value I'm going to be providing is I'm going to satisfy the needs of the customer. And if we have more referenceable customers, that means we will bring a lot more revenue to the company. And then, what was the method of North Star? I mean, just look at me. I just joined the company 6 months ago. Why me? So, what was the method behind this madness of North Star, sending a young individual to the United States and start doing the implementation and training? Because back then it was people like Imran, he used to do the implementation. We also had somebody, Sayyid Huda, he used to do implementations, and they had a lot of years of experience. So I was asking, like, why me? What's the method behind this madness? And the method behind the madness was very simple. I was the most knowledgeable person in the team, in the product. If you go back to the picture I showed you, there were 2 computers right in front of me because I used to take the laptop with me over the weekends. I used to learn about the product, I used to code in the system, I used to learn everything from installation of the application to supporting the application. So I was very closely working with all of you developers, all of you QAs, to the point that we were even writing reports in point of sale. Sometimes you have to write a code in point of sale. We were doing that back in the days. So I could clearly see the method behind the madness is because I'm the most knowledgeable person in the team. I'm working very closely with the teams inside as well as with the customer. That's why they feel that I'm the right person for that. And obviously, every time when you try to achieve your vision, which is whatever you're trying to do, you have some obstacles. And you have to understand I'm talking about 2005. So 9/11 was not the old story back then. So a guy who has a degree in computer science, who has a quantum physics background, right, is going to the United States to do the implementation. And he will be traveling around the United States. So think about this. There were many challenges we have. One of the challenges was somebody coming from a third world country, offshore team, okay? The second problem was, I was and I am a techie. I speak the technical language. I don't speak accounting. Accounting is a language of business. I don't speak that. That was an obstacle. And of course, security in terms of what will he do with the data? He's a smart guy, right? He has a degree, this, that. What will he do with our data? So we have those obstacles back in 2005. And the way I had to gauge whether this whole vision of North Star is going in the right direction or not was purely on some kind of a measurement, which is customer feedback. If customers are happy, they want me to be there, then I'm all good. This is me, 19 years later. I'm very proud to say that people like Atta, people like Ahmed, and a lot of directors in this company were hired and trained by me. And they grew under the same mindset I'm sharing with you today. And remember, I said, after these 15 minutes, you will be thinking differently because I'm going to give you that trick. Okay? I don't have a magic. The way these guys think, the way I think, the way anybody who's very successful in the company think is in a very structured way. And I'm going to share with you that structure. So today I manage about 7 teams, and these are the departments I manage. And of course, there are many managers, many leads, many people under that. And this is the same strategy everybody's implementing, which I'm sharing with all of you. So what is V2MOM? Okay? Or I would rather say VVMOM. So what I'll do is, I'll share some stories with you, and you will understand. So remember I said I'm going to give you a gift. I'm going to give you the tool which you can use and you can implement throughout your professional career as well as in your life. Okay? So V2MOM is a management and communication tool. And if you implement V2MOM in your any problem statement, whether this is a big decision in your life about whether I should pursue a career as a developer, as a QA, as a product manager, whatever, you can just implement the same strategy which I'm talking about V2MOM today here. Or even to the point where, let's say you go in a meeting, you are just a new, fresh manager, and you would like to understand how to conduct those meetings. If you implement this V2MOM, even to the small things like conducting one meeting, you will be able to do that, okay? So, like I said, if you haven't learned anything, just learn V2MOM, okay? And I always mention that I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I like to learn from everybody, and books are the best things to go to and read because they don't hide anything from you. So there are 2 excellent books which talks about V2MOM. One is by Jeffrey Moore, which is Crossing the Chasm, And this is a book, if you join a software development company, which does similar kind of work what we do, they Salesforce. So they ask every employee to read this book, okay? And while I was preparing this, I also suggested, and this is a great opportunity to share this with you, that every one of you should at least read Unicorn Project. Excellent book by Gene Kennedy, okay? Every one of you should read that. And those of you who have spent time in Northstar for 5 years, for 2 years, you probably will see some characters and you'll be like, no way, this guy's name is John. I know his name is Special, right? So, excellent book. So, the technique and the management tool I'm talking about, V2MOM, is discussed in this book, as well as by Tony Robbins. There's a book called Money, Master the Game. Excellent book, and he also talks about it. So, this is a proven strategy, and I'm the example in terms of implementing it myself. This is a guy who's a co-founder for Salesforce, Mark Benioff. He's the one who actually came up with this idea, okay? So you guys do know there is a lot of research, there is a lot of proven data available about what you're going to be learning today. So we're going to be learning about V2MOM. What is a V2MOM? If you look at the example I gave you about myself, right, you will learn everything in 2 seconds. The first V is vision. Every time you have a problem statement, you should have a vision. Remember, there is a difference between vision and goal. Goals are things you can achieve. Vision is something beyond goal, right? So the first V is vision. I want you to say, what is it? Vision. The second V is value. Every time when you have a vision, you should ask yourself, what is the value for this? Okay? And this value could be one value, it could be more than one. So it could be values. Alright? What's the second V? Value. Okay? Then, how am I going to do this? What's the method or methods to achieve that vision? And you write these down. Okay? Every time when you apply a method, what's going to happen? You're going to have some obstacles. You should be prepared. If you ask anybody who's frustrated because of the situation they are in, do you know the reason why they are frustrated? Because they were not expecting these obstacles. There is a reason why you train individuals. You train individuals for a goal. If you train, what do? You have a checklist. And whenever you have the checklist of items, what are you doing? You are preparing yourself for the obstacles. And last, which is the most important one, is to measure it. Until unless I have a measuring tape, I cannot declare just like that I'm a 6 foot tall guy, right? I can be on the street, I can say, I'm a 6 foot tall guy. I'm not, I'm 5'7". How will you know that? If I bring a scale and measure my height in front of you, and you all know that there's a scale which shows that the height is 5'7", then we all will agree to it. Okay? So we can give it any name, whatever we want, but the reality is numbers don't lie. So measure is the most important thing. So V2MOM is vision. Say it out loud. Methods, obstacles, and measure. I'll share a few stories with you quickly so that inshallah you will remember all of these things. I'm talking about 2008. This is 2008. The problem statement was, end of month was a huge disaster. I remember those days we used to wait for those phone calls, right? And these end of month processes would go on for days. Think about Amir Saab sitting here. He runs your payroll, and it takes him, let's say, 4 days to run your payroll. In order for you to get your salary, it takes another 2 days, and after 6 days of first of the month, you get your salary. How would you feel? Right? It's a disaster. So this was a problem statement. What we did is we came up with the V2MOM for that. We said we're going to have a robust and accurate billing. That's the vision. We said what value is going to provide? We're going to have a smooth cash flow. Our customers will have the smooth cash flow. How are we going to do this? Only developers and QAs were those who could do it. We couldn't do anything, right? So they had to rethink and refactor. What were the obstacles? All of you have bad habits, just like me. You all have bad habits, right? You have to identify them and fix them. It's a bigger challenge. How will we measure? Generate accurate billing in reasonable amount of time and effort. That was our criteria. If I push a button and the end of month goes like this, from start 1 to 100%, in reasonable amount, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, that means that's the right thing to do. So I remember Adnan Qureshi and Imran Durrani. These two individuals, they were QA and developer, the duo of the two individuals. They spent few days, came up to, back in the days we had Hamad Bhai in the office, and they said, we would like to show you something. We said, okay, show. And they pushed the button, and the whole thing was finished in 30 seconds. End of month was completed in 30 seconds. Everybody back in the days knew what the process looked like. So he was like, okay, how many, he did not pay attention. He was like, okay, how many did you generate? And they showed like 300 records. 300 statements were generated. And he was shocked. He was like, what happened? He said, we just, refactored the code, and now this is what the result is going to be. I was a witness. I was having lunch with Dominion Golf Group CFO, Kathy Jafarian, big fan of Ali Mirza, right here. They used to manage 6 clubs back then, and she, during the lunch, said, Shahzad, excuse me for a few minutes, and she left the table. After less than 15 minutes, she came back. I thought maybe she used the restroom or something. I asked her, everything was okay? She said, yeah. I was like, what were you doing, right? Where were you? She said, I generated statements for 6 clubs from one accounting office in the past 15 minutes. So why is it important for you to learn V2MOM? Okay? I'll tell you why. Because just like the way I'm giving you the example of Adnan and Durrani, all they did is they raised their standards. They did nothing except by saying, this is not a normal thing. And we are challenging ourselves because we need to raise our standard. I'm going to ask you a question, and you need to give me an answer, okay? Out loud. What do you think is the tallest animal in the jungle? Okay? Fastest? Okay? Largest? Elephant? Okay? Smartest? Ox? Okay? Alright. Who else? Apes? Orangutan? Right? But who's the king of the jungle? Lion. Why? Is he the tallest? No. Is he the smartest? Is he the biggest? Is he the fastest? Why lion is the king of the jungle? Because of one thing and one thing only, which is attitude. I'll tell you, when I went to the United States, obviously I had kids, and just like every good parents, I took them to circus. This Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey was my first experience to see the circus in the United States, and this used to be the largest circus back in the days. Obviously, my kids were super excited, but me being somebody who liked to observe things was constantly noticing how are they tying these big elephants to these tiny stakes. And it was almost like a joke. If you go to a circus and you see those elephants tied to those stakes, you will be like, is this guy crazy? Look at the size of the stake and look at the size of the rope. But this guy is still. What's wrong with this picture, right? So that was something which is stuck in my head. So after the circus, they let you go and talk to the trainers. And me being the nerdy guy, I went up to the elephant guy and I said, this makes no sense. And he said, do you know anything about baby elephant syndrome? I said, no, enlighten me, please. He said, when these elephants are babies, what we do is we tie them with a chain and to a very strong stake in the ground. And them being babies, they try their best when they're very weak to break those chains. And we continue to do that for years until they learn that they cannot defeat this chain and a small stake. And when they grow to their maximum size, even if we put them to the ground like this and put a very weak stake and tie to a rope, they don't realize that this is not as strong as when I used to be very weak. If you look at this shift, we were preconditioned with bad stuff. And we continue to follow that when we become a big elephant. So when I'm saying raising your standards, if elephant was the smartest in the jungle, I'm sure elephant would have tried every year to break that chain. Okay? So I want you to remember the elephant syndrome and understand that all you have to do is change your attitude. That's all you have to do. So obviously, while I'm here, I'm going to share about my teams, all the teams I manage. What is my V2MOM for this year, 2024? And the goal is to improve the quality of professional services. Whatever the quality we are producing in terms of professional services, all the services we offer, we would like to improve on those. What is the value for those? Obviously, if we're going to invest into our professional services, we charge for that. This will bring more revenue to North Star. And how are we going to do it? So you probably have seen a lot of social media updates, you probably have seen some news here, that we are doing a lot of webinars. So every month we are doing 2 webinars, right? So that's one way of doing the achieving the vision. The second one is the regional conferences. We are going to different states. Last year we did 5, probably we're going to do 7 this year. We are taking North Star to different regions and we are educating the end users how to utilize the system, right? So that's how the stickiness of the application increases. Then we are focused on group trainings. Another plan is to bring in experts like food and beverage guys for a day and a half, maybe in Atlanta, and we will train them, okay? Focus trainings. Then we will do re-engineering. A lot of time you've been using the system for 3 years, 5 years, and there is a lot of data which has been corrupted. So we would like to do the re-engineering project. So as opposed to club saying, we need to change our system, we reach out to them and say, let's do the re-engineering because your reports are all bad, right? So there are the methods we are doing, and obviously we are having a lot of obstacles while I'm doing that. One bigger obstacle is teaching old dogs new trick. Lack of cooperation. People have doubts. Whenever you would like to do something which is different than your norm, people have doubts. We have those too, but it's okay. How are we gonna do that? We're gonna do it by quarterly review, plan, execute, and repeat. That's how we're gonna continue to improve this process. I just added some numbers here for you to understand how powerful this small change could be. Let's assume I'm doing 100 implementations in my first year. If I do 30% increase, then the end of the year I'm going to be able to do 130 implementations. Next year, if I'm doing 130 implementations, if I do the same 30% increase, it's going to be 169. So within 5 years, you can see the numbers are going from 100 to 286 if we continue to do the same thing again and again. If we raise our standard, if we focus on achieving the goal, we may not be able to do that, but we will redefine our goals and we will be able to increase that. So last thing for all of you, what could be your V2MOM? Because obviously you learn now a structured way of thinking. Maybe your vision could be a bug-free software. You want system to be stable and with no bugs. What is the value? We will have a lot of referenceable customers. Methods. All you need to do is just raise your standards and challenge yourself. Okay? Obstacles. Why do you run into this problem? I think you might be thinking that I'm sharing notes with Atta and Tarek, but they know. I did not even talk to them about their presentation and they did not see my presentation until last night. Most of the stuff they're talking about already. They're saying lack of planning and design before you code. I talk to a lot of developers and this is one thing I like to coach people on because I used to be one. The moment you listen to a problem, you start thinking about a solution. What is the first step to solve a problem? Understand the problem. Take your time to understand the problem, then discuss and plan how you're going to solve it. There might be many ways to do it. So lack of planning and design before you code is your one obstacle. Not testing early and often could be your second obstacle. Not writing clean and readable code, right? Not handling errors gracefully, like those 500 errors as opposed to a message, right? These are your obstacles. And how are you going to measure it? You're going to monitor and track your counted bugs over the period of time. That's how you're going to monitor. So I hope today, if you did not learn anything so far, you're going to remember V2MOM. And I would like to thank everyone for putting up with me so much.